Yeah. Well, you know what? This is a good conversation where everyone's coming in to talk about because they can pick your brain a little bit.
Okay.
When it comes to scripted promos and non-scripted promos, obviously non-scripted promos are better. Like I'm not arguing that at all. But does it say something to a talent when a scripted promo is done right? Does it say something like, wow, this promo was scripted, but you can tell that this person took that and went, I can use these words and make them, not change the words, because obviously WWE, I think, are very strict on the verbiage that they use for reasons that I think.
Certainly with some wrestlers, I think there's some talent that definitely get a bit of leeway. Like, I don't think you'd kind of pigeonhole Kevin Owens. I think you'd give Kevin Owens bullet points and let him say what he needs to say. Same with probably Roman.
The New Day. The New Day are probably very, which I understand. Good point. But do you think it says a certain thing about a talent that can take a scripted promo and go, I can deliver this. Don't worry about it. I've got this. Do you think it says something about a talent just as well as someone that has a non-scripted promo and can deliver it? Is it just an opinion of like, okay, yes, non-scripted promos are better because it comes from the performer. But at the end of the day, they are just characters. They are just actors. And actors are given scripts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I'm just playing devil's advocate. devil's advocate.
No, absolutely. I think it can work both ways. I think some people are naturally good talkers, and they can be given bullet points and really kind of make an interesting narrative from that. Other people, not so much. I mean, you look at the likes of, say, Rhea Ripley. If you just give her bullet points and not a scripted promo, I think she'd struggle. And she's fully admitted that that's one thing that she struggled with. So I'm not fully against scripted promos. I think, especially with the product that WWE put out, it's a necessity. I don't think with the amount of licensees and the amount of shareholders and companies that they have to answer to, they have to make sure that the points are covered, that nobody kind of strays from the path. So it does make sense there. But I also do like the organicness of a promo. I mean, if we didn't have organic promos, we wouldn't have had The Rock. We wouldn't have had Austin 316. There's a lot of like big moments that we wouldn't have got if the wrestlers were allowed to just run with it and basically make history. Nowadays, I don't think WWE are particularly concerned about that. It's all about drawing in as much money as possible through the TV deals, and that if a scripted promo keeps Fox and USA happy, I think that's going to be the future for WWE. Not that it's a bad thing; it's horses for courses, I suppose.
Oh, no. Yeah, so at the end of the day, as long as it gets the point across, I really don't give too much of a shit. Here's a question that goes hand in hand with that. NXT, what do you feel is with NXT? Do you think they're more of a balance of scripted and unscripted? Do you think there is just more unscripted promos in NXT? It certainly feels like if they are scripted, there's a lot more of the talent input in NXT. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think so. I think with Hunter and Shawn Michaels basically doing the booking and the writing for that show, I think there's an element of scripting, but I don't think it's as to the word as main roster WWE is. You've got to remember that Hunter and Shawn Michaels basically were kings of unscripted promos. I mean, the amount of times that those two people alone got into trouble from Vince because they went out with a live mark and caused grief. So they know what they're doing. But I also believe that they know that it's a different time and you have to be a little bit more PC. So I can see there being elements of scripting, but certainly give the talent a little bit of leeway to go and say their own stuff. I mean, you can't imagine scripting Adam Cole, for instance. He's a guy that doesn't need. I mean, he doesn't need scripting. Karrion Kross probably doesn't need as much scripting. I think he's pretty good. Cameron Grimes, I don't think you need to script that guy. But then you get to the likes of, say, Kyle O'Reilly. I think he maybe needs a little bit of a guidance with his promos, because you can tell when he's been given leeway, it sometimes falls a little bit flat and he gets a little bit shouty. So yeah, I think there is a little bit of leeway with NXT, but when they go up to main roster, forget that, people. You are getting told exactly what to say, exactly when to say it.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Why people are filing in. For anyone that has filed in, hello. We are going to chat some Hell in a Cell very soon. But we chat for a little while before we get to predictions while you guys are rolling in. So if you're watching on the replay, you get this little bonus thing that you wouldn't get, I guess, if you were coming into the stream right now. Hey, Steph's here. What's up, Steph? Steph's a regular of mine here on my Twitch. She's on Twitch. Yeah, it's on YouTube as well, so I get confused sometimes. But yes, hello, Steph. Welcome on in. We're going to talk Hell in a Cell in a minute. NXT happened. We did our show last week. It was a fun little show that we did. We've got a little, like, let's be honest, Mags. I love myself. We know this, but you're okay. But we aren't the best prediction stream. I'm not saying that we're the best prediction stream, because there's ones that do it much better than us. But I think we have a nice little flow. We're very casual about it, but like we get our points across. I think it's a good little time.
Yeah, always is. And NXT Takeover was a good little show, and they followed it up with a good show midweek as well.
Yeah, NXT is do you think they're in a nice spot at the moment? I know you're very scared with what we talked about last week with main roster call-ups potentially happening. Do you get a little frightened that maybe they're like, oh, we're in such a good group of talent that, like, if we adjust too much, it might alter NXT? But NXT have been hitting their stride since moving. I will say that. They've been putting out, I can't really think of one bad shows since they've moved. Like, they've all been like consistent. They've been telling good stories. Like, they're having more bangers than misses. That's certainly for that's kind of a fact at this stage. It's not even a matter of opinion. They're just putting out good stories at the moment. But Takeover happened. What's up, Matt? How I am doing fantastic. Thank you for stopping on in. We appreciate it. We are NXT was a good show, though. Did you like In Your House? Some people were a bit iffy on it, but I thought it was. I don't think it'll go down as the greatest takeover ever, but I thought it was fun.
No, and we've said this a few times now with NXT takeovers. They've raised the bar for themselves so high that if it's not a perfect show, it's always going to be frowned upon, I suppose. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. The results made sense, even though I didn't particularly get all the predictions right. But that's what NXT does. It gives you a great show, and the stories make sense. And I love the follow up with William Regal being frustrated about not being able to control the wrestlers, and then getting the teaser that he was going to retire, and then Joe coming in saying he's not going to take over William.
Isn't that a good mess, right? It was like compelling to the point I'm like, this doesn't feel recycled. It doesn't feel like too much that we've seen before. Which is, I mean, how many things? Like, we could probably nearly list every single story that happens on most wrestling shows, and we're like, okay, we've seen some version of this somewhere. And that's not a knock. It's just there's a lot of wrestling, and shit just gets recycled. Surely there's elements of like Eric Bischoff and Stone Cold from 2003, I guess, in some kind of weird dynamic somewhere along the line. They're like, okay. But it seems just like Regal makes the decisions and Joe's in there to enforce them. And it just feels nice. It just feels fresh. And I mean, I'm not going to complain about Samoa Joe being on my television at all. When he fits in NXT, it's just so cool. And the way, he's not a competitor, but like, if he's provoked, he's going to beat the fuck out of you.
And Adam Cole felt that almost straight away. For me, this is actually a bit of recycled. I think that Joe is Williams' harder, more Samoan Tajiri from that storyline. But like I said,
that's a long. Fucking TBT.
Wrestling is cyclical, but this for me absolutely works. It gets Joe back in the wrestling sphere. Hopefully, he can get to the point where he's cleared to wrestle. But we're still going to get Joe beating the living piss out of some people when they.
And it's a very open-ended, by the way. I like how they did have it like, you can't wrestle ever. It's like, yes, okay, you can't be competitor, but it's like they've left it to the point where it's like, okay, like we might be able to one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it feels to me like they're setting up for a storyline further down the line where Joe gives up his job as the enforcer because he really needs to beat the living piss out of somebody in a match. I think that's the kind of like the storyline that we're going to get if he gets cleared medically, which will be cool. Oh yeah, as Steph says, an unsanctioned match.
Yeah, Bronson Reed versus Samoa Joe. Wouldn't hate to see that one at all. Two big lads just going at it. Bronson, I said last week, I was very worried that he might be one of the ones that gets snatched away from us, and I don't believe dirt sheets until it happens on my screen, but he is one of the names that looks like it's being considered to go to Raw or SmackDown, which, again, it makes sense. I understand why you would, but our two top champions in NXT, or two top male champions in NXT, who just got the titles, really, are now looking to be snatched away.
Yeah, but that unfortunately, that's one of the hazards of being an NXT fan. I mean, remember when Keith Lee was the first double champion, and then within a month he was on Raw and was dropping titles. So unfortunately it's something that we're probably gonna have to live with for the next few years until NXT is fully established as a third brand. What I would like from the upcoming draft is some Raw and SmackDown talent coming down to NXT. I think that'll be cool. That'll really kind of it'll rubber stamp just how much NXT means to the WWE.
Yeah, NXT has grown a lot, but it's still got a lot of growing to do. And there is a sense of, just again, devil's advocate, there is a sense that maybe NXT doesn't appeal to casuals. And I understand it. I get it. I love NXT to bits. I don't want it to change. But if I was the higher ups in WWE, it could be an argument I could have that it's not booked for casuals. It doesn't appeal to casuals. It's not for casuals. And WWE as a whole is for casual wrestling fans. It's not for hardcore wrestling fans. There's elements of it. And that's why everyone on the internet bitches about WWE, is because it's not for you. It's not for wrestling fans. It's for people that don't like wrestling. So then more people in turn will become wrestling fans. And then you'll buy the network or Peacock and you'll watch NXT if you really like wrestling. That's WWE's philosophy.
That's been their philosophy for the last 5 years. It's to cover every kind of style of fandom. If you like indies wrestling, NXT is your thing. If you're into Brit Rest, NXT UK is there. If you like high flying, you've got 205 Live. If you want storyline driven wrestling, that's what the main card's for. If you like documentaries, they'll fire those out at you. If you like the old stuff, it's there for you. They want to hit every marker of wrestling fan. So for the majority of people, Raw and SmackDown is probably not going to be for you, and watching it and complaining about it, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there is plenty of other wrestling that WWE throw out that may appeal to you more. I mean, for me, more people should be watching NXT UK. It's one of the best products that WWE are putting out.
I've never watched a single episode of it, and
so damn
sounds
good.
like I should.
It's so damn good.
It's interesting. It is interesting to hear it that way. Like I know it, like what you just said. Wasn't that I didn't know that information, but it's like, wow, when you put it together in that little neat bow, it's like they do try to in WWE's eyes, WWE want to be the only professional wrestling sports entertainment company in the world. Not because competition, none of that. It's more so they can go, we want to hit every single kind of fan that we can. So then we can own the stratosphere of talent. We can own the stratosphere of footage. They don't just want talent. They want companies for Peacock, whatever you want to, their network, their library. They want to pull for it and be like, oh, you watched TNA in 2003? go buy our network and you can go watch it. Not that TNA's on there, but you know what I mean by the gist of it. They want to own everything. So it is a really interesting argument. Even Matt in the comments, obviously Slipknot used to be the NXT theme. Poppy is now. Poppy's not for casuals. Poppy's not mainstream as much as people want to think Poppy is. Poppy's not mainstream. People don't know who Poppy is. It's heavier music than what's going on Raw and SmackDown. And listen, I like AC/DC, but that Are You Ready song is horrible, and I won't. It's just bad. It's a bad song. But like their songs for their pay-per-views and stuff, it's pop music. They want to appeal to masses. They want to appeal. Oh, you heard this on the radio? I'm putting this as a pay-per-view theme. Like it's The Weeknd. It's it's One Republic. It's all of that kind of stuff that they use. So it is what it is. They still have elements of. It's just changed a lot. Wrestling as a whole has changed a lot. But that's a topic for a different day. We are here to talk about Hell in a Cell. Without going into any of the matches just yet, of course, Mags. What's your excitement level for this one? Are you excited?
No, I'm really, really not. I believe it'll be I think it'll be a really good pay-per-view. I mean, we say this on this show pretty much every month now. The build-up is
listen to this man.
It's never been good. It hasn't been good in all the time that we've been doing these prediction shows. But the pay-per-view very rarely fails to deliver. It usually. I mean, for somebody who doesn't watch the mainstream product, I make a point of watching the pay-per-views because I know that they are going to deliver in terms of the wrestling, in terms of the storyline progression. So whilst I'm not excited about the build-up, I'm certainly going to be excited about watching the show. I think it's going to be a really fun show, and then some tidbits of interviews that I've heard, especially with the likes of Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, and they've said they want to make this the greatest Hell in a Cell match that there's ever been. I'm excited for that. Yep. So, yeah. I'm at about a 4. I'd say a 4.
Listen, I've said this many times. It's almost like a Bible for me at this stage. The problem with WWE is not their pay-per-views. 9 times out of 10, they're a good time. And I can see why people just watch them and don't watch Raw and SmackDown, because most of the time you're going to have a pretty good show. Even like a dud card is still pretty good. And like I have noticed something, and people will complain about the Thunderdome and the pandemic era. Yes, okay, I prefer fans, but one thing that Thunderdome has produced is less matches on a wrestling show and less matches, more time for those matches. You're not seeing the same talent on every single pay-per-view, which keeps people more fresh. And it's one thing I really miss about Thunderdome era WWE is this, because once we go back to fans, we're going to get bigger cards, we're going to get longer shows, and we're going to get the same talent on every single thing.
I don't know if that's entirely true, but no, I remember reading a report, and I think it was from Sportskeeda, who said that WWE are looking to keep the pay-per-view short and sweet. They think that it's been working in the pandemic era, and they can't see any reason why it wouldn't work in the post-pandemic era. So I think we're going to be getting just maybe 3 to 4 hour pay-per-views at a maximum.
I think they're usually tapping in at around 2:45, 3 hours, which is, I mean, I'm more than fine. Anything more than like 4, unless it's like, I will always say this, and some people won't agree with me. The only time I want a longer show is like Mania, Rumble. Like I understand that they need to be longer. That's fine by me. But 3-hour shows, 3 to 4 hours is pretty ideal for me. Yeah. It keeps me interested. I'm like, once we get to like the 3.5 hour mark, I'm pretty like, all right, let's move this along. But
let's wrap it up.
Yeah, let's just take it home, boys. There's just time for that. But Hell in a Cell's got 6 matches, and for maybe the first time ever, we've got 3 men's matches and 3 women's matches. 50-50 ratio. As, by the way, I'm going to look directly in the camera when I say this. Wrestling companies, that's how every single wrestling show should be. An equal ratio, because you scream equality, but you certainly do not show it. You talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. Wrestling companies. That goes for WWE. That goes for AEW. That goes for every single wrestling promotion under the fucking sun.
And just to add to that, it wasn't that long ago that Triple H made the comments about Evolution 2 and how he doesn't think it's going to happen because and then the women getting their own show doesn't need to happen because it would be like a step back. And do you know what? I actually, as much grief as he got at the time, I actually agree with him. I think that if you segregate the women to their own show, it kind of is a little bit of a step back because whilst they are getting their own show, and that's cool, they should be on an equal footing with the men. And this Hell in a Cell shows that this should be exactly how it should go. If there's 3 men's matches, there should be 3 women's matches. I really like the fact that straight after those comments by Triple H, we're going into a pay-per-view where it's 50-50. It couldn't be more.
Is that intentional, or is it cool? Is it a coincidence? Did it just happen that way?
I mean, it was going to be 4 men, obviously, 4 men's matches with Roman and Ray took off the card. Maybe that was a little bit of a factor. Personally, I don't think it was a huge factor. I think it was more Fox wanted bigger numbers, and the way to get bigger numbers was to have Roman Reigns defend his title on SmackDown.
Because Roman Reigns is here, and everybody else is below him.
We're all in his world.
Literally. We're going to talk about that. I have a big ask of you on that subject in a minute. But let's talk about Hell in a Cell, hey? Let's talk about the first match that I want to talk about. We touched on it last week in the NXT show. Let's start with it. Let's just get this one out in the open. Alexa Bliss will be going one-on-one with Shayna Baszler at Hell in a Cell. It is a singles match. I'm sure there will be some kind of supernatural stuff going on as one Alexa Bliss brings to the ring now. And we had our opinion on Shayna Baszler being involved in this storyline last week. We both agree that it should not be Shayna in this role. It should be somebody else in this supernatural world. We both agree that Alexa Bliss is doing probably the best work of her career character-wise. I don't think that's argued. Alexa Bliss, fantastic in this role. Done a lot of good stuff with this character. Shayna is not the right character to be counteracting that. However, people do scream a lot at WWE for not allowing other women to get a chance, and we see the same women fighting the same women all the time. There's no horsewomen. Well, there's no WWE horsewoman in this match. This is not a match we've ever seen. I can't tell you a time that Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler have ever touched. I could be wrong. It's different. It's no titles involved. There's nothing like that. It's just a story. So if you look at the positive side of it, take away that Raw segment a couple of weeks ago. I like the dynamic of Shayna and Alexa, but I just don't think it's going to be a wrestling match. I don't think I should be going into this one thinking we're going to get wrestling, because I think there's going to be a lot of I guess what's the word? Shenanigans isn't the right word. Spookiness? What would you call Alexa Bliss? I don't really know.
I don't know.
Wow, that sigh, that big breath in then really just told the story.
The good thing is Lily is now in timeout, so we may not see any Lily shenanigans in this match. So that is a good thing. I think the match is going to be good. And if they get to wrestle, and it's not a kind of like a cinematic, the Fiend style match, the match is going to be good because Shayna has proved that she can wrestle well with the smaller women, and Alexa Bliss, for as much grief as people give her online, she's one of the best female wrestlers that WWE have got. She can work with any kind of style.
Very true.
But I just don't like the storyline, and I can understand why some people like the storyline. Wrestling is in general ridiculous, and this storyline is ridiculous. It does not all wrestling has to be grounded. Yeah, not all wrestling has to be grounded in reality. My issue is who comes out of this as a winner, because I think they both need the win. If Shayna loses, she looks weak. She looks kind of ridiculous. But if Alexa Bliss loses, are we going down the same route that we went down with The Fiend, who was such a great character when he was unbeatable, but then lost match after match after match and became like a parody? I think Alexa's character work has been superb. I don't want to see it end, but then again, I love Shayna Baszler, and I don't want to see her being jobbing out to a doll. So it's
okay.
it's,
So
it's a hard one.
here's where I stand, is because WWE as a whole seem to have a really hard time booking supernatural characters and keeping them looking strong without destroying the expense of somebody else. And they almost book themselves into corners with a lot of stuff, because Alexa Bliss, as whatever you want to call her, you know, when she goes into that altered state, her Fiend, if you will, when Alexa turns from playground Alexa to like the Fiend, I don't know what she really calls herself, whatever she calls herself.
Wannabe Abigail.
Sure. That character shouldn't lose.
No.
Playground Alexa, beat the shit out of her. She shouldn't be able to wrestle, in my opinion. But when Bliss switches, that character shouldn't lose. And the track record, the history of that kind of character means they're going to lose, because they don't know how to keep them fresh and keep them. They just don't know how to book that stuff. They do it to themselves. And I really like this character, and I like supernatural stuff in wrestling because it's stupid and it works and it's wrestling. It doesn't have to make sense all the time. Like, give it to me. But the problem with that is that sometimes when WWE finds something that works, they milk it. They milk it dry. And Bliss is a character that I don't need to see every week. Not because I don't want to, because I want to be like waiting, like, where is Alexa Bliss? And yes, Bliss doesn't wrestle in every pay-per-view, granted, but she's almost taken the spot of The Fiend because The Fiend is away. So WWE are like, you're doing well. Let's put you on 5 segments a week, and then let's put you in all of this stuff, and then we're going to burn you and kill you. Not, they're just going to burn her out, and people are going to get really tired. And I want Alexa Bliss's music to hit at Money in the Bank or whatever, and the crowd to erupt. I don't want them to be like, here we go. Here we go. Like, I want it to be over. And I like Lily, and I like that aspect, but it's just the mix of Shayna and overused is just, it's not doing Bliss any favors. It's not.
No, I agree with you, and especially if they're going to use Alexa as a surrogate to The Fiend for whenever Bray's ready to come back. Having her on week in, week out in multiple segments, it loses that special touch, and that was the issue that we had with The Fiend. That it was brought out of Bray way too many times, and Matt mentions it in the chat about using Demon Finn and Normal Finn. I think that was the perfect use of a supernatural character, that Finn would be hesitant in breaking out Demon Finn until the very bitter end of need. It seems with The Fiend and with Female Fiend, it's been broke out week in, week out, and for me, it's overkill. With characters like that, it should be, it should feel special, and I don't think that this feels particularly special. It's great work by Alexa Bliss, absolutely great work, but it doesn't feel special.
Hey, Joe, JPJ, what's going on, buddy?
Hello.
We're one match down of however long we've been live for, like 30 minutes, and we've only talked about one match, typical us. But yeah, it's interesting. Do you have a clear-cut winner in this one? Is this going to go to a no contest? That's where I'm kind of leaning towards, to be honest, is I don't think this is going to have a winner.
I think Bliss probably gets the win just because of how hard WWE are on her. Shayna has eaten pins after pins. Even with the matches with Nia Jax, she was the person usually eating the pin. I don't like it, but I think Shayna loses and we see Alexa Bliss win.
Quick question. just to end on the subject of Alexa Bliss, Raw Women's Champion within the next 6 months? Yes or no?
It would not surprise me. And it would be the same issue that we had with The Fiend, where why would she be going for a title? It doesn't seem like that would be something that a supernatural character would have any interest in. It would be she's more interested in playing with people's minds and kind of tormenting people rather than being the champion. Yeah, I hope not. I hope she stays in this character and she keeps having interesting feuds. But WWE are going to WWE, and they're going to probably put the title on her.
I counteract that. The only reason I ask that is because I believe that that's not going to happen because her and Lily will be the tag team champions.
Oh, man. Good God. Lily getting the pin.
You don't think it will happen?
I absolutely believe WWE would do that.
And Lily would pin Natty. Natty would lose, and I wouldn't be that mad because it's Natty. And I'm not going to get into that argument of Natalya. I like Natalya. I think she's a very talented woman, but I also like taking naps. And coincidentally, I do the same thing when Natty wrestles. So,
that is
that I don't care. Natty's a great wrestler, very talented, but just not my style. It's like Spencer, I know you're out there listening. It's like Bret Hart. I also take naps when Bret Hart wrestles too. So it must be a Hart thing. All right. Well, we'll move along to the next match here that we've got to talk about. Cesaro and Seth Rollins. They've been feuding for a long time. People whinge about not having long feuds in WWE. Then guess what happens? We have a long feud in WWE, and every mother effer is having a sook about it. What do you want? Do you want long feuds or do you want month-long feuds? Because this one's been going for a while and you've had enough of it. So stop bitching. I'm a bit wild tonight. What's going on here? I'm attacking. It's just annoying sometimes when people contradict themselves. Stick to a lane. Just stick to your lane. I have no problem with Seth Rollins and
to your lane. Brilliant.
If you need to drive in the left lane, drive in the fucking left lane. Get in the overtaken lane and stay in it otherwise, because I don't want to deal with it. But just stay, don't flip-flop. There's no need for that. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I'm here for Cesaro and Seth Rollins because they're two of the very best in professional wrestling. Very different characters. They work well together. It has been a very slow burn build for Cesaro, and that is a very good thing. I love when things take time. You do not need to rush this man to anything. Seth Rollins has done a fantastic job of getting Cesaro from here to here. So I could watch these two wrestle all day. They had a great match at WrestleMania Night 1. Back at WrestleMania. They've been feuding ever since. They haven't had 700 matches. It's been nice. I'll throw out my prediction. I think this will be the last match of them two. I think the feud will be done. And I do think that Cesaro will get the win. What's your thoughts?
Interesting. Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I really enjoyed the slow burn of this storyline with Rollins essentially attacking Cesaro after the WrestleMania Backlash Universal title match. And I love the fact that he smashed his arm with a chair, took Cesaro out, and then over the time we've seen Cesaro really want to pay Rollins back. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. The match at WrestleMania was an absolute banger. I wasn't particularly taken with the fact that it was revolved around being swung about 100 times. But for this one, I think this is going to be a great match. I think Cesaro gets the victory, and then it pushes him maybe back into the title picture again. I don't think we're ever going to see Cesaro as world champion. I think the ship has sailed on that, but we're always going to see him elevated as a viable contender because we know that Roman needs people to absolutely destroy. So yeah, I'll go with a Cesaro win.
Damn, hell yeah, we're in. Wow, we agree. Cesaro will win, and we'll move along, and it'll be fine. It'll probably be a banger of a match. Couldn't really see it being bad, that's for certain.
Not with the talent in the match.
No, there's no way. There's no way that it can be. How do you feel about Seth Rollins' character at the moment? It's very different. I like it. I think he's just an ultimate douchebag. Very good at it. No offense.
He's just got the drip. He's got the absolute drip.
God.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best character workers that WWE have got, going from the Architect to the Monday Night Messiah. I think he's superb. I love that evil cackle that he has. It portrays a movie star villain perfectly. I love him. I think he's brilliant.
Damn.
And add to that, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's got it all. He really has got it all.
Yeah, he really has. Segueing off Seth Rollins, there's been some reports that maybe his wife might be coming back very, very soon. I couldn't imagine it would be before crowds. Are you ready for Becky Lynch to be back in the fold?
I mean, it doesn't matter whether I'm ready. It's whether she is ready. The reports were that she was at the PC doing a little bit of training, getting prepped. So SummerSlam is looking like it is going to be blockbuster. Absolutely blockbuster. So would I be happy to see Becky Lynch back? Yeah, of course. I think the man character was superb.
That's a good point.
That is also very true. I mean, there were rumors of it at WrestleMania, but
okay. But WWE trolled us at WrestleMania with that Bailey segment, and everyone's like, "Is it Becky?" And then the Bellas came out, and I was like, "Fucking fuck! You setting the Bellas up for disaster here. You just did that to me on purpose." I was losing my mind, but like, you shouldn't have done that. I was like, it's the worst people you can bring up.
They certainly gave him the Daniel Bryan Rey Mysterio treatment.
Yeah, they did, and it was just like the Bellas really did nothing wrong, but it was like, oh man, that's like the internet's worst nightmare is like the Bellas coming out instead of Becky Lynch. It's like you just did it all bad. It was all backwards. But Becky's rumored to be back soon. I'm ready for Becky to be back in there. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the Raw Women's title in a moment, but I think we might be seeing something we've seen before. I'll just put it that way with Becky Lynch. Okay. So let's go on to let's talk about Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, shall we? Raw Women's title match. I thought this one would have been in Hell in a Cell, but it's not. It's just a singles match. Man, I don't like saying this because I don't want to put this out into the universe, but Rhea's not doing it for me, man. Rhea's just not. Mm-hmm. Rhea's not. I feel so awful to Adelaide and just being my South Australian self right now, but she's come up to the main roster and I loved it at WrestleMania. I'm like, yes, Rhea. Every moment since WrestleMania, I wish she would be off my television. This isn't her talent is great. She's been a hard spot to be in is getting the championship in the first 3 weeks that you're there. I wouldn't want it. She's just been drawn the short straw in a lot of senses. And it's made me so sour towards Rhea Ripley, who at one stage was arguably the hottest thing in wrestling.
And what killed that heat? It was losing the NXT Women's title to Charlotte Flair.
It probably was. It probably where it all started. Okay, I agree with you to a certain. I'll agree with you to a certain degree. It was the start of the spiral. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was necessarily losing to Charlotte. I think it's what they followed it up with, which was a whole lot of nothing. They did a whole lot of nothing with Rhea, which was almost the worst thing you could do. Well, because
she disappeared. She lost for such a long time.
Exactly. She looked like a wimp. She looked like a wimp who had been someone that had been built up as a beast, as an unbeatable beast that took down Shayna Baszler, that took down all of these people, and then you take one loss and you run away. That's what it made me in my brain. I know that wasn't the case. It was whatever. But character-wise, you lost to Charlotte, so you bitched and moaned and didn't do anything about it. You should have been at that next NXT beating every single bitch's ass until you got your championship back. And she just didn't. There was just no follow-up. There was no nothing. And I don't think that's so much of a discredit to Charlotte. I think it backs up what people say about Charlotte because of the way that WWE handles talent after someone has faced Charlotte Flair. But I think Charlotte, and we both said this, I believe me and you both said this, Mags, Charlotte and Rhea probably had the best wrestling match of all of WrestleMania 36. I think they had the best in-ring match that there was. And then, Charlotte did what she did and Rhea did what she did. And this whole year has been Rhea trying to recapture that magic that she had for that 6-7 months in NXT a couple years ago. But it's been like Rhea come up. She had let's call a spade, a fairly couple of average matches with Asuka. They're just two wonderful talents that do not click. And I don't want to see them wrestle ever again. They did progressively get slightly better, but being slightly better than below average is not great. And then you take into the fact that it almost seems like Charlotte should be the champion here and not Rhea. Charlotte shouldn't be chasing this. Charlotte should have won the championship a while back and just been done with it. And Rhea could have chased and at least gained some steam and at least gained some reason for us to care about her because to be honest, if I was a person that didn't watch a lot of wrestling and I didn't really know much about wrestling, I couldn't see how I'd like Rhea Ripley. What's there to like? She's already won. I would almost be inclined to be like, I hope Charlotte wins because I'm so sick of this woman that doesn't, she's just adding nothing to the product right now. She's just, and I hate saying that because I think Rhea's so talented, but she just doesn't fit. It's almost like she's just furniture. She's just simply there. And it pains me to say that because Rhea was, again, white hot at one stage. You can argue with me to the cows come home about it. She was nearly the hottest thing in the industry at one stage. And now she's a footnote. She is just nothing. She's not the opener. She's not the closer. She's just the middle of the pack. And it's like, I hope Charlotte wins here just so we can get from point A to point B. Charlotte, for as much shit as people give Charlotte, she is a lot of time a transitional champion, especially in these latter few years of her career. She is oftentimes a person to get to someone else. And I think that someone else is Becky Lynch. And I think we're going to see Becky and Charlotte again. Not that I hate that. It's just I'd like to see Becky wrestle someone else. I'd like to see Charlotte wrestle someone else. I love Charlotte Flair. You know that I love Charlotte, Mags. And I'm a big fan of Charlotte. I think she's one of the most talented people they have in the company. But no one is getting any favors done in this situation because I just want Charlotte to take this title off of Rhea. I want Rhea to rediscover what is going to work on the main roster for her, and I want her to start from the ground floor because, man, oh man, I don't want to hate Rhea Ripley, dude. I don't want to hate her at all. I love Rhea, but just Charlotte all the way here, and I think I'll just say my prediction so you can say your bit, but I think Charlotte will win, and I think we just move on. Just move on.
I agree with near enough everything you said. There's one point that I differ on. For me, the Raw Women's title has been a poison chalice. Ever since Becky had to give it up, we had Asuka as champion, who felt like an afterthought. She was essentially the third wheel in the Alexa Bliss storyline. Then we've got Rhea Ripley, who feels like a placeholder. And that's sad to say. It just feels like she's there, so we didn't get Asuka versus Charlotte a million. I think kind of Rhea's well-documented struggles with confidence and with working on the main roster and having that not really understanding her own character. Maybe it's come through in spades, and she's in this kind of like microscope where it seems to be just magnified so much, and the character that really did work down in NXT is not working at all on main roster. So,
It sucks.
So Charlotte coming back. It almost seems tacked on that Charlotte wins the title. She exudes being a champion, where Rhea doesn't, unfortunately. I think you made a good point of Rhea maybe going back to the drawing board and kind of doing what Britt Baker did. Learn your character. Learn how to be confident as the wrestler and the talent that you are. And I think Rhea doesn't exude confidence for me. The one place where I will disagree with you is I don't think this is building to Charlotte versus Becky. I think this is building to Charlotte versus Nikki Cross. I think.
Do you think Nikki? It would be nice to see someone else. Also, hello, Mr. Fowl, one and only, one of the best people in this community. A fantastic creator, but just a great person. And I'll always put Fowl over. I don't get to talk to Fowl as much as I would like to, but Fowl is just he's a very good person. Yes, he's literally what Mag said. Nikki Cross, though, is a very interesting element to this. I like Nikki Cross, and people can say what they want, and I'll probably get hammered for saying this. I don't care. I've liked the whole thing they've done with Nikki Cross, getting the kind of like 3-minute things. I know it was a little bit like who wins in this situation, but you let it play out, and hello, it worked. It got Nikki. We're talking about Nikki Cross. When have we ever talked about Nikki Cross on one of these shows? Unfortunately, We just haven't. Mm-hmm. So I'm fine with that. Okay, Charlotte, Nikki, sign me up for that. I'm liking it's fresh, it's different. It allows someone to hopefully get an opportunity. I don't think Nikki Cross will win the championship. She might. We need more talent. They release everyone. So
if there's one thing about LOL Charlotte wins and her being in the title picture is that she always elevates someone else to that picture. She always brings somebody up to her level. And with her gunning for Ric Flair's record, a transitional drop to Nikki Cross makes absolute sense. It doesn't have to be a long-term title run for Nikki Cross, but it's validation of the years of work she's put in NXT, and then the struggle with Sanity coming up to the main roster, and the stuff with Alexa Bliss, which Nikki Cross absolutely made work. I think it's validation of how good Nikki Cross is, and I'd love to see Nikki Cross as champion. It'd be absolutely awesome. The passion that she shows and the kind of out there character that she has, she would be a good champion for a couple of months, and then drop it either to Becky or Charlotte or whoever to build to a huge match. I would not be disappointed with a Nikki Cross title run at all.
Yeah, Steph made a good point. Maybe to Bliss. I mean, there's history there. To answer your question, I have not seen the Friends reunion shirt reunion yet. I know I'm wearing a jumper that says Friends on it, but look, fake fan. I don't think that show has aged that greatly. But but I like the aesthetic of it. Okay, it makes me look like I'm trendy. But whatever. Yeah, we're both in agreement though. Charlotte will walk away with the championship.
Yes.
I have a question for you, and it's a bit loaded, but I was thinking about it before, and I'm like, I have a point, a statement, I guess I could make, and I just want to hear your thoughts on it. WWE are no longer geared to booking storylines for pay-per-views anymore. They care about their television product. They care about their whatever, just blah, 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 blah. They want Raw and SmackDown to be where it's at. They're almost aware that people who like wrestling will always tune in to WWE pay-per-views. How many of us on wrestling Twitter alone are just like, I don't watch Raw and SmackDown, but I always watch the pay-per-views. I always watch the pay-per-views. People, they almost are like, whatever, we could give you nothing and you'll still watch it. Raw and SmackDown, on the other hand, you don't watch Raw and SmackDown. I'm not watching it all the time. Here and there, I watch SmackDown. They're almost like, we got to put something on this show. We got to build to shows now because we can't get people to watch our shows anymore. So the pay-per-views are not irrelevant. They still progress stories and stuff still happens at pay-per-views. But we just like, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, you'll watch it. We know you'll watch it. Roman and Ray happened on SmackDown.
It doesn't even matter if you don't watch it because that money is guaranteed. They're already getting
that's true too.
They're already getting the 200
Also
million a year from
Peacock.
Yeah,
they're fine. But Roman and Ray happened on SmackDown in Hell in a Cell Universal title, which was. Can I speak for you here, Mag? Saying that was the match everyone was most excited for. Was Roman and Ray. It had the most story because Roman's in it, and anything Roman does at the moment turns into fucking gold. So they put it on SmackDown. I don't really look at ratings, but I'm pretty certain that their numbers were up this week on SmackDown. WWE are like, we need to keep this Fox deal renewable. We need to keep this Fox deal ready. We need to make sure that they'll go sign on that dotted line for another $6 million or whatever the fuck they paid them to fucking $3 billion or whatever. They know that you're going to watch Hell in a Cell regardless of if it's Tom, Dick, or Harry wrestling on that show. They don't know if you're going to watch SmackDown. So they make SmackDown unmissable in a sense of like, you wanted to watch the pay-per-view for this match? We're putting it in the main event of SmackDown. Go watch our blue brand and go pop us a rating and we'll do more of this. Do you think this is going to become a norm? Do you think that this is going to become the thing that happens now is that bigger matches in perhaps bigger arenas will be a thing for Raw and SmackDown?
I think if it comes to the go home shows of a pay-per-view and the numbers aren't doing particularly well, I think we will see a lot of pay-per-view matches being dropped down to Raw and SmackDown to bump the numbers because as you've just said, the pay-per-views are not particularly irrelevant, but that money's guaranteed. Whether 1,000 people watch it or whether 10 million people watch it, that money is already in the bank of WWE. So that's not that's not the masters they have to please. The masters they have to please are the executives at USA and at Fox. And if Fox send a message down the line, oh, the numbers for SmackDown were a little weak last week, and we bumped those numbers back over 2 million. Boom, we're getting Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre on Raw, or we're getting Rey Mysterio versus Roman Reigns on SmackDown. That's going to be the future, at least for the next few years, whilst these TV deals and this network deal runs down. So yeah, we are going to see the more high-profile matches bump to the weekly shows if they need a ratings pop.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily mad at it. I understand the business side of it, and listen, if I need to watch it, I'll watch it. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, all right, I'll go watch that match. Did you happen to catch Roman and Ray?
I haven't.
It's actually quite good. One of Ray's best matches that he's had outside of Andrade since he's come back.
I'll watch it in the run up to Hell in a Cell tonight.
Yeah, Roman. Obviously, you know the finish. And spoilers, I guess, for anyone that hasn't watched SmackDown, but if you're here, you should have watched it. Roman does an inverted guillotine. He does it like a snapmere style, and it's weird.
Mm-hmm. And he's talking to Ray all the time, saying "Happy Father's Day."
He's such a bitch. He's so good.
He's so good. He's so
Happy
good.
Father's Day. Poor Ray. This little dude just gets fucked over. Like gets thrown off top of buildings. He gets his eye ripped out, and he gets thrown against the Hell in a Cell. Like, just buddy. Like, just my God, you poor. Like, I feel so bad for him. He had to watch his son get power bombed off onto the floor, and like Roman tried to kill his son. Roman just out here trying to kill bitches. He's just like, he's like, I don't want to hurt you, Ray. And he just like fucks him up, and it's like, Happy Father's Day, you stupid bitch. It's just like, oh my God, poor little Ray. Just stay away from it. Like, just stay away. But yeah, a good Hell in a Cell. Ray dominated the majority of the match. It was kind of bizarre to see. Like Ray, you don't really see that from Rey Mysterio much anymore. They've kind of booked him weird, but it's funny how you can just turn someone around just like that. And it's like, there was moments even with me, I was like, is Ray going to win? He obviously didn't, but like, is Ray going to win? It was, yeah, good point. It was like that. It was like that.
A cravat lock.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that means. It's some MMA shit. I don't watch fake fighting. I only watch real fighting, like professional wrestling.
I mean, I'm going to segue to something that really frustrated me. AEW this week, they had a MMA match with Wardlow.
He did a Rana. I see someone do a fucking Hurricane Rana in it. I was like, that's not MMA. I don't watch MMA, but that's not MMA.
Yeah. As someone who has content around MMA, that match triggered me so many times. It was cringy. And they kept pushing this narrative about Jake Hager being unbeaten, 3-0. They miss off the one where he was actually a no contest because he kicked his opponent in the dick about 5 times in an MMA match.
You're not allowed to do that in MMA. I know that.
Yeah. They always forget that little match, but that happened, and he was getting whooped in that match.
Foul. Of course, trust foul to say something. I seen little clips. I seen the Hurricane Runner, and I was like, "Well, interesting stuff." Speaking of interesting, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Oh,
very, very. Some people are like, watch them wrestle all the time. Some people are like, they've had enough matches. That's feel a little lackluster that it isn't inside a cell, or it isn't no DQ, or it isn't some kind of gimmick added towards this. I have a problem with them wrestling because like they always deliver. But like, I guess, can you add Apollo or something into this? I know he's involved, like Big E. Like, couldn't they do a 4-way? Couldn't they do Commander or Zeke or whatever the fuck his name is? What's his name? Commander. Is that right? Aziz. Whatever. I said Zeke. Whatever. Same thing. The big fucker that's with Apollo Crews. Yeah, him. Well, can you do something with all of them? And yeah, him. Can you do something with the IC title? Like, again, it's not like it'll probably be a slapper, but we have seen it a lot. But I don't know. I'm in this weird in between with it. But I mean, it's pick'em with this one, isn't it? It's like Owens could win, Zayn could win. I'd probably put more of my money on Owens just because of the conspiracy thing with Sami Zayn. But
this for me is like it's like WWE's emergency match. If you have to fill out a pay-per-view, what can we book? Just throw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in, because
it'll be fine. It can fill 10, 15 minutes a time. Like
they will always deliver. The storyline is always there that these have been the best of friends and the worst of enemies. So it's always going to work. I don't think you necessarily need a huge build for them. Just have them looking at each other in the corridor, and that leads to a pay-per-view match. It's just that's how much kind of a chemistry these two have got together. It's going to slap. The match means nothing. Kevin probably wins, like you said, to do with the conspiracy theory. But this could be the match of the night, because
it really
these
could
two
be
are so good.
It really, really could be. I don't really have much more to add to that, because it's just a match to fill a spot here because Roman Reigns is gone now and we need something else on the card. Cool. Let's move along. Let's move along. Yeah, it is. It's like the old Cena versus Randy matches that we've seen like 1,000 times. They would just have them and you'd be like, oh, righto. Yeah. But it like makes sense, but also like
but cool.
It's like, okay, just do what you need to do. I want to talk to you about NXT again for a second, because we love NXT. I want to take you back to In Your House. I don't know why. I don't know if you watched NXT live. You probably didn't, because you're probably sleeping, I'm assuming. Did you watch NXT In Your House live?
I watched it live, yes.
Oh, you did watch TakeOver live? I'm
not that old.
No, but sometimes you're like, I want to sleep instead of watching them. Sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Rarely.
Go on.
Okay, just asking a question.
What's the question, Joshua?
Okay, all right, now I can kick you out of this stream. It's I don't know if you noticed Twitter, during the women's title match, but it seems like everybody just hates Raquel Gonzalez now.
I know, I don't get it. I really, I think she's one of the brighter sparks of NXT.
Well, okay, calm. I don't maybe agree with that. I don't dislike her like everyone seems to, but
this is a woman who's only been wrestling for 3 years, and she's really taken to it like a duck to water. She's not the best wrestler in the women's division in NXT by a long stretch, but she's really good at what she does, and I don't understand.
I like foul. Anyway,
I mean,
what was your point?
I was just saying that I like Raquel Gonzalez, and I don't understand the hate for her. I mean, the comments that she made about the first Latino women's champion.
Oh, we should.
I get that.
We should be saying
was fucking ridiculous. And Chris and Ashley over at Bells to Bells did a brilliant breakdown of 11 other Latino women who had won the title before Raquel Gonzalez. But it was WWE's kind of like speech coming out of her mouth, I suppose. But yeah, I think she's a good wrestler. I can't wait for the feud between her and Dakota Kai. I think that's going to be a slap of a feud.
Yeah. Do you think she's the main roster call up? Not Dakota, Raquel. Could you see them going, "Ooh, we like you"? Because I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think she would. I think she would potentially fit in better on main roster than she does in NXT, because NXT
is a wrestling show. It's like
a work rate show. Yeah, it's a work rate show. Where on Raw and SmackDown, you don't necessarily have to be amazing at wrestling, as long as you can hit your markers, get your signature and your finishes done. The matches tend to be a lot shorter. So if you can do a 5, 6, 7, 8 minute match, I think she'll fit in really well on main roster.
Yeah. Well, we got 2 Hell in a Cell matches to talk about now. We got a fresh Hell in a Cell. We didn't really think that would be inside a cell, but thanks to Roman and Ray being on SmackDown, we got this. Bianca Belair will be defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Bayley inside Hell in a Cell. If I was to choose out of that and the Raw Women's title, I probably would have put the Raw Women's title inside the cell. But nonetheless, I'm still happy that Bianca and Bayley are getting to be inside the cell. The problem with this one is, as opposed to Rhea and Charlotte, is that there's less in me that goes, well, Bayley's going to win this one. It's pretty much a given that Belair is going to retain. I think it's just more of a question of the quality of match that they can have, because their Backlash match didn't hit for me. It wasn't bad. It just was a bit like, meh. And we've seen better from them. We've just seen better from them in the past. How do you feel about them two being inside a cell? And do you think the result is just a foregone conclusion that Belair will retain?
I think with Bayley in the match, there's always that hint that Bayley can pull it off. She's very, very legitimate. I think this is the first, if I remember rightly, this is the first women's Hell in a Cell that doesn't have Sasha Banks in, which feels really, really weird.
First women's Hell in a Cell with not both members being a horsewoman too.
Yeah, so Bianca creating history time and time again, being the first non-4 horsewoman wrestler in a women's Hell in a Cell. But
yeah, first Hell in a Cell without Sasha. I just thought, wow, it's no Sasha Banks.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Sasha Banks in terms of in the match. Could she come out and be involved? Quite probably. This is going to be a good match. I mean, the elements in the match are Bianca Belair, who is absolutely amazing, and Bayley, who is arguably one of the best women's wrestlers in history. Yeah, so it's going to be a great match. What I have been frustrated with is the build. Bianca Belair
has it hit for you?
No, Bianca Belair is one of the most confident people in wrestling. She has got that swagger. She has got that style. This you don't even go here. I'm the EST, all that stuff. and the fact that they've built it around her being bullied. Wow, not every kind of face has to go to the I've overcome all this all these elements of being bullied in my childhood to be the best. We don't, it didn't need that. And then we've got the laughing from Bailey, which was fun, but building a feud around being laughed at, it just, that kind of didn't hit for me. But the match is going to absolutely slap. I think this is going to really kind of rubber stamp the fact that Bianca Belair is a mega star, with her beating Sasha and Bayley and still being able to return the title. It's a real kind of like a notch on her belt. I don't think anyone's going to come out of this match looking particularly bad. Bayley's pretty much bulletproof now with this character that she's in. So yeah, this is going to be a great
snot-nosed heel that can lose every match and still be believable if she won
Correct.
the championship tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it doesn't hurt Bayley. It'll be good. I don't really expect anything like, overly amazing in it in terms of like what they do with the cell, because cell matches are just not that anymore. Mm-hmm. They're just not. But it'll be good. I'm excited for it, and I'm glad. Hey, okay, we don't get Roman and Ray at this pay-per-view. We got that on SmackDown, so it gives an opportunity to someone else, and this opportunity is going to Bianca and Bayley. So not mad. This will be a feud ender as we go into Money in the Bank, because I think Bayley will probably be involved in Money in the Bank. I don't think she'll win it, but I think she'll be one of the SmackDown people that are, the 4 SmackDown women, 4 Raw women. She'll be one of the 4. And Belair will probably move on to someone like Carmella for a little while before SummerSlam. It's just to fill some time. I mean, I don't mean it's disrespectful way. It's just, who else is there? Mm-hmm. I probably see Banks being back in time for SummerSlam, and we'll do Banks Belair again. Could someone like a Liv Morgan get a chance in between? And that'd be fine. I'd like to see Liv more so in the Money in the Bank, and I think Liv could probably win the thing, because you've taken Ruby Riott away from Liv Morgan. You've taken Sarah Logan away from Liv Morgan. Obviously, if you've released those two and you didn't release Liv as well, you have something in the back of your brain that has for Liv Morgan. So give her something. And she doesn't have to win the Money in the Bank, but at least give her an opportunity to be in it. Give her an opportunity to shine. Like, I really think the world of Liv Morgan. I don't think I'm the biggest Liv Morgan fan there is in the world, but I just see something in that.
Definitely
that
not. Oof,
I'm not.
She's got
stands. She's got some crazy stands.
Yes.
She's one of those people that's got some crazy stands. But Liv Morgan to me is so just, there's something about Liv that I'm like, you can promote this girl. She's young. She's little and petite. Like, aesthetically, she has what you want. She's different in the ring. She's got a different feel. She wrestles. There's just so much about her. Promos, everything about Liv Morgan is so different from, I can't think of anybody like Liv Morgan. No. And that's a damn good thing. She's just so different. So, not to go on a tangent about Liv Morgan, but I just want more for Liv Morgan, at least. Not even victories. I just want opportunities for Liv to show. I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what Liv can actually do in the ring. I really, truly believe that. I think Liv can do some really good stuff. So, Money in the Bank is coming up, Mags, and I would like to see Liv. You know what? I'll say it right now. Liv Morgan should win Money in the Bank. I'll put that out into the universe. I think Liv Morgan should win the women's Money in the Bank.
It makes a lot of sense. It absolutely does. Give Liv the push that maybe the Riot Squad should have had. And
yeah, they should have had. Riot Squad should have been way more, made more of an impact than they ever should have. Like, they really missed something with that. Especially that unit was, man, makes me irritated, but I'm not going to go there. It really does, though. It pisses me off, because it's like you had so much potential with something so different, and you have one left. What are you doing? What are you doing? But anyway, Money in the Bank. Go on. Sorry.
Wow. No, I agree with you. I think Liv would bring something fresh to to a Bianca who has beaten two horsewomen. It'd be something new, and it'd be a cool kind of like a throwaway until we build to the biggest show of the summer at SummerSlam. So yeah, it makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, but something's just come into my brain that we need to touch on.
Good Lord.
Something happened on Raw this week. Someone debuted. But the announcers didn't know who it was because they don't watch NXT UK either.
It's so bad. It's so... Wow.
Okay, hold up. In defense of Eva Marie, I'll be the one to do it because it's me. I like the dynamic, at least, of like, oh, Eva can't wrestle, so therefore she's not going to wrestle, and she's going to have Piper Niven. I'm not going to say the name that's rumored for her because it's truly awful. Like, truly awful. It's a big yikes.
I hope that is just dirt sheets talking and they stick with
me too. You know what I want? Like, I want her name to also be Eva Marie. I'm not kidding. Think it through. It's like she said, no, Eva Marie said, get this.
Style.
get this. The winner of the match is Eva Marie. And everyone's like, Eva, you didn't wrestle. What the fuck? And then it's actually her name. Piper Niven's name is Eva Marie. And there's two Eva Maries, and Eva Marie will never lose. Okay? Listen here, Mags. It's better than what they're going to come up with because they're going to call her fucking gumdrop or whatever the fuck they're going to call her. And then it's going to be like fucking just horrible because they didn't watch the show. They didn't take any attention to, like, they're literally shitting on their own brand that they put money into. They just said, we don't know who this is. You shouldn't know who this is because you don't watch something that's on our fucking network. It's so dumb that you didn't at least acknowledge. Okay, you don't have to acknowledge. Okay, I understand name changes. It happens. Okay, it happens. Plain and simple. I know people aren't going to like that, but name changes happen. However, at least go, wait a minute. Who is that the girl from NXT UK? Instantly right there you go, okay. They might not know her whole backstory. They might not know her whole her history of who she fought in front of 20 people 5 years ago. We don't need to know that. It's irrelevant to the story. But we at least need to acknowledge that she's been on that little WWE logo that appears in the end, the little signature that happens in the little corner of the screen every time a WWE program is on. Guess what? You produce that with your money. You're making that show and you're telling us not to watch that show because the announcers are also not watching that show. So if the announcers aren't watching the show, it's telling me I shouldn't waste my time watching that show. What the fuck? At least get some credibility to her. This is no knock on Piper. This is no knock on Eva. This is no knock on Naomi, who, I mean, we're not going to get into the fact that they used Naomi in that situation when it could have been any jobber from anywhere in the fucking world that you could have picked out of, but you chose Naomi. It's just another conversation for another day. But at least show some acknowledgement to your own product. At least show some common sense to your own product. Because you're just wasting everyone else's time even producing it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, Piper's a great talent. Say what you want about Eva Marie. She's obviously there for a reason. Just, you did yourself a huge disservice with even Eva acknowledged her on Twitter. But the announcers still didn't know who she was. Like, what the fuck? What the actual fuck? Fuck, that made me so annoyed. And I'm not even a fucking Piper Niven stan. Sorry, I just ranted. Holy shit. I'm really angry today. I don't know why.
You need to calm, sir. I think it shows as well the total difference between NXT and main roster. Because if Piper Niven would have shown up on NXT, they make a huge deal of it. They do it with Walter. They did it with Imperium. Even Jordan Devlin when he comes over. They refer back to the history that they've had in NXT UK, and they make you want to go and check out that show. With this, you wouldn't have known that she'd even worked with the company because they made no acknowledgement of it whatsoever. I mean, she's been with NXT UK for 2 years. this was a perfect way of pushing your fans of Raw and SmackDown to maybe check out another WWE product. It was
comment right there. That comment right there. Imagine if that happened. Like, seriously.
That's going to happen. You understand that when Kaylee Ray turns up on Raw or SmackDown, that is going to happen. She's going to get a name change. They're not going to acknowledge that she's from NXT UK because it's weird. You would want to push that show because it's a great show. Not a lot of people watch it, and it would be a perfect way to get more eyes on the show. But the issue is it's already being paid for by the $200 million a year that they get from Peacock, so it's there anyway. They're just producing it. They don't need to particularly worry about whether people watch it or not because they're getting paid for it.
I understand it from a business standpoint, but just make it make sense. You don't have to put all the pieces together, but just give me half a plate of food and I'll make a meal out of it. Give me just the basic ingredients and I'll put it on the menu. Like, it really just does a disservice to themselves. It does a disservice to all of the talent that are involved, including Eva herself as well, because it puts, well, if you want more heat on Eva, but not that you need it. You don't need more heat on Eva Marie, but it's just putting unnecessary heat on it. So do I. I like that she's with.
She's getting wins and she's not going to wrestle because she's playing into exactly what the RWC hate about Eva Marie. It's a brilliant troll move.
Yeah, okay. Here's a perfect example. Someone like Queen, okay? Me and Queen will not agree on this at all. We still love each other, but me and Queen will not agree on this. She does not like Eva Marie. Doesn't see why she should be there. To Queen, I've had many conversations with her. If I speak out of turn, Queen, just correct me in the comments. But to Queen, Eva Marie is just a waste of space in WWE. Doesn't need to be there. Like, make your money, girl, but you don't need to be there. I see the value in Eva Marie because I'm like, I get it. Like, for my subjective personal preference, I get it. I'm like, okay, I see why you're here. Play to the strengths of what makes you a heel. Don't wrestle. Have someone wrestle your battles for you. Have your bodyguard, whatever you want to call Piper. But make it make sense. I understand that stories need to be driven, but you need to make it just put a little bit of knowledge into it, a little bit of logic, a little bit of common sense, and I'm on board. I'm like, 2 thumbs up. But when you call her, fuck, I'm so heated at the moment, I can't even think. When you call her Gumdrop or Gumball, what the fuck's her name going to be?
Dewdrop, apparently.
That's the one. Yeah, that one. That is like borderline offensive. For one, it just doesn't sound good. And it's like, who the fuck sat there and was like, who the fuck sat there who's paid? Someone is paid in this. Why am I ranting I'm so heated about this. Someone is paid a lot of money by a $1 billion company, $1 million company, whatever, to make someone's name that. Like, Giddy is sitting over there sleeping. That cat could make a better name than that. What?
She's probably coughed up better
what the fuck? She's literally done shits in her litter box that is better than that name. That made more sense than what they're producing on their fucking thing. That whole story is just so just stupid because of it. I get it. Like, I want to get it, and I like elements of it, but just make it make fucking sense, man. Just make it make sense. And now, oh my god, no! Oh, Eva's gonna be in Money in the Bank, and Gumball's gonna get down the thing and give it to Eva, and Eva's gonna be Money in the Bank because Piper's gonna get it and give it to her. That's exactly what's gonna happen, and everyone's gonna and the crowd.
And this whole issue stems from whoever made the edict that they wouldn't use the name Papa Niven, because if she came in as Papa Niven, you can then refer back to her catalog at NXT UK. But it's whether it's Vince, whether it's Nick Khan, whoever it is in creative said, No, we can't use her as Piper Niven. That doesn't scream. That doesn't scream enforcer. That doesn't scream bodyguard. We'll have to change your name, and that means then you can't use those 2 years of WWE product that she's built up, because that's a totally different person. It's a totally different name. And Dylan in the chat, it sounds like a Bruce Pritchard idea. Absolutely, it does. Dewdrop is just a ridiculous name, and not only does it stunt Piper as a wrestler, but it also means that you can't use those 2 years that she's created great wrestling in NXT as a way to get to know her, as a way to push that NXT UK product for the casual Raw and SmackDown fans. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
It also hurts Eva. If your plan is to get Eva Marie over, it hurts Eva, because it's just it gives her unnecessary baggage, and it gives her unnecessary, like, heat's not the worst. Heat is not the word, but it's just. I'm going to read this out, because it just Max, go ahead and read what Queen, because I'm very heated at the moment about this.
So Queen has put, after all this time that Eva's been away, I was anticipating they would do something cool with her. First of all, that's on you for expecting WWE to do something cool. That ain't happening.
I mean,
but then she's put, even though I'd rather her not be around in favor of other talent, but she has millions of followers, so go off. Sadly, it seems like more bullshit stories. Yep, I 100% agree with you. Are there more talented wrestlers that have been released? Absolutely. Absolutely there were. Could those wrestlers be made into big stars? Yes, if WWE had put in the time and the effort into pushing those stars. But Eva Marie is instant 4 million people with eyes on her product. Maybe
I get it. Trust me, I'm an Eva Marie preacher. So,
from a business standpoint, bringing Eva Marie in, even though she's a very, very poor wrestler, makes sense. What doesn't make sense?
We have to say, though, before we go on, we haven't seen Eva wrestle since 2016. We don't know what the girl has done in 5 years.
And it's wrestling on main roster is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant.
Absolutely.
You do not have to be.
And that's why
Piper
should be. Piper is the girl that can go in there and wrestle for Eva, which, again, I like that element. It's just all the shittiness that is surrounding it, and just not acknowledging your talent under your umbrella of company, and B, calling the talent something so ridiculous as that. Potentially, we don't know that it's going to be, but potentially being called that.
I hope that was WWE throwing out feelers, maybe dropping it to find out whether it would land. They've seen the backlash, and then they're like, "Yeah, fuck that. We're not calling it that." But then it also makes the commentary team look ridiculous, because if they're going to refer to her as Piper Niven, why didn't they refer to her as Piper Niven when she debuted? And why didn't they push the fact that she's come over from NXT UK and that she's had banger matches over there? It makes no sense.
Because all it does is make... Okay, they want Eva Marie this is for Eva Marie. They could have Eva Marie come out and go, "Hey, I'm not wrestling Naomi tonight, but you know who is? Piper Niven. She has been here in NXT UK for 3 years, 2 years, whatever it's been. She has had some incredible matches. And then she could go, watch this. And then you have the WWE fantastic produced video packages that they do, showing Piper Niven as an absolute fucking killer, a beast, just tearing through competition. Naomi standing in the ring going, fuck, that's me. I'm next. Eva Marie goes, come on out. And then Piper comes in, takes down Naomi, does exactly the same thing. Instantly, you go, well, I can't fuck with Eva Marie now because I've got to deal with that. Look at that. It just made sense. That's how you did it. Not this Eva comes out and then this girl just follows her and they're like, who the heck is this girl? I don't know. Mr. Corey Graves? I don't know who this is. Who we don't watch anything here? It's so stupid. but I'm not going to rant on it again.
And you spoke earlier about Alexa Bliss and Lily being tag team champions. That would work for Papa and for Eva Marie, where Papa does literally all the work. We never see Eva wrestle, and she's still one of the tag team champions. It makes absolute sense as Papa Niven, not as Gumdrop.
Gum. What did I call her? I keep getting the name wrong, but because it's because it's stupid. It's because it's stupid.
She was called Giddy.
So stupid. My cat could do better than that. I said that before. That 90s wrestling podcast. Hello there. Hello there. James. Welcome on in. So after that went in a direction I did not think it was going to go. I apologize. I'm never a person that rants. I'm never a person that gets overly negative. And
that is a lie.
So, come on now. I'm a fairly positive person when it comes to wrestling.
Positive, yes. Ranter. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Well, all right. Well, calm your fucking tits over there. But I'm fair. I'll look at the bright side of everything, but there's just some things I can't get past, and that is one of the things I just can't get past. But on to, okay, everyone's coming at me. Everyone is attacking me for saying I don't rant. Okay, maybe I rant, but I usually rant about nice things, correct? I don't usually get so stippy downer sad. You know what I mean? Yeah?
No.
Okay, whatever. Fuck off then. Main event, Hell in a Cell, Drew McIntyre versus the WWE champion, the almighty Bobby Lashley. Hell in a Cell, sure it'll be good. But is it time to move on?
This has gone on a while.
And again, I like long stories, but this one feels like it's just gone maybe one too far.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps. I think the whole point of moving Hell in a Cell was to put this as like the end of this feud. It's been good. I like Bobby Lashley as champion. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed Drew McIntyre as champion before that. I think he's been in that horrible position of being the champion in one of the worst eras in recent memory. And I think he's done an admirable job of being the face of the company and carrying WWE in troubling times. But Bobby Lashley as champion means a lot. He's done great work. Him and MVP have been just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm glad we're getting some kind of like finality in this with the fact that if Drew loses, he never gets another shot at Bobby Lashley as champion again. It makes sense. I've enjoyed Drew in the title picture, but he's been there for a couple of years now. Maybe it's time to step down and let somebody else take the reins. Someone like maybe a Kofi Kingston. Maybe.
I think you're wishful thinking there, bud. I think you're wishful thinking, but it could happen. And crazier things that happen. They just called someone Gumdrop. So crazier things has definitely happened within the world of the main roster. I think it'll be a good match. This will be the one with the spot. You know what I mean? You know, the Hell in a Cells always have a spot where it's like through the cell or off the cell or through a table or some bullshit like that. That's what will happen in this one. They'll have a good match. They always do. I'm fine with it. Whatever. It is what it is. Yes, Queen. Braun was in the title picture just a few weeks back, and now he is unemployed. So there's that as well. It's just we need the draft to happen now. We need fans back now. We need something because there's so many things that are just doing this. They're just going to go. The gears are moving because the train doesn't stop. And that's what it feels like until Money in the Bank is here and we're back in the zone of fans up until SummerSlam, and they're going to make SummerSlam this big thing, which I'm excited for. But it just is just a lot of things are just moving to move at this stage. So whatever, Bobby will win, I think.
Yeah.
Bobby will retain, and
that makes sense to me. I've listened to the interviews that Richard Chino from Sports Kid had with Bobby and Drew, and they both said that this match for what they've got planned, could potentially be the best Hell in a Cell match that we've ever had. That's high hopes. I mean, if you could pull it off, absolutely brilliant. But I want this to be the end of the feud, and thankfully we are getting that. I'm not ready for.
Well, you say that. Just make sure you think about what you're saying.
I'm not ready for Bobby to drop the title. Drew's been in the title picture for a long while, so it makes sense for him to come out of this the main picture for a little while. If it leads to Brock versus Bobby, I'll be happy at that. If it leads to Kofi Kingston versus Bobby, I'll be happy at that. But all I know is that Drew is definitely losing this match.
Yeah, not really much else to say. You know what? We need to. I've been a little bit of a bitch in this. I had a few little rants on some things, so I feel like I need to end this show the right way. Hell in a Cell is a very, it's a WWE created match. It's a WWE product. It is definitely hosted some of the most memorable moments in WWE history, especially a lot of the earlier Hell in a Cells. Let's talk, chat, while you're here. Before we go away, let's spend the next 5-10 minutes talking about our favorite Hell in a Cell matches, moments, and what makes the Hell in a Cell so great. What exactly gets you excited for Hell in a Cell? Not the pay-per-view, but just the match itself. There still is something about a Hell in a Cell that does scream, this is a WWE event, this is a WWE match, this is very WWE. I think a lot of us will obviously go with the obvious, Mankind being thrown off the top of the cell as probably the greatest moment in Hell in a Cell history, maybe one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. When you really think about it, it changed so much and it did so much for wrestling. And then, of course, the cell through the middle of the cell and all of that happened. But when you think great matches, great moments, other than the Mankind Mick, we'll just keep that one out because I know it's going to come up a lot. Where does your mind go to, Mags? Is it the original Hell in a Cell of Shawn and Taker?
Yeah, that's got to be up there. The debut of Kane, arguably one of the best characters. I also enjoyed the six man that we got.
You liked Armageddon Hell in a Cell. Mm-hmm. You like that. Some people don't like it. I liked it.
That Rikishi bump is superb. For a guy of his size to take that bump. I think that's brilliant. I think there was a long period where Hell in a Cells were just filler. They were just because they had a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. We had to strong arm a Hell in a Cell match in.
Sure.
I mean, for me, I'd like to see Hell in a Cell as a concept go away for a while. I think it needs to be.
Me too.
It needs to be a blood feud ender rather than we're building to Hell in a Cell. Guess what? You're having a match in Hell in a Cell. Hooray! Mm-hmm. I think that kind of needs to go away. Mm-hmm. But there's been some. I think the earlier Hell in a Cells meant more because they were special.
Yeah.
When it started happening year on year on year, it loses that specialness, and the wrestlers kind of have to go more and more outlandish to make the matches stand out. So it'll be interesting to see what Bobby and Drew actually do to make this one stand out. I hope they don't have a massive comedy hammer where they beat each other to death with it.
Bianca and Belair. There you go. Bianca and Bayley also have an opportunity to do something hopefully cool inside of Hell in a Cell as well. For me, for some reason, my mind always does, of course, go to the first one, but also end of an era. Triple H and Undertaker with Shawn as the ref, WrestleMania 28. That always comes to mind because it's just a fantastic match, but almost it feels like a match that takes place just inside of Hell in a Cell instead of being a Hell in a Cell match, but that's neither here nor there. It's a Hell in a Cell match. I enjoyed the original Brock Taker Hell in a Cell from like 2003 or whatever it was, 2004, 2, whenever it was. I enjoyed that. Armageddon Hell in a Cell always does come up just for the aspect that there's 6 people in there. But yeah, I think probably other than Mick and Taker, I think Taker and Shawn, because Shawn gets the absolute piss. Like the piss beaten out of him. Shawn gets beat the fuck up in that match. If you haven't watched Shawn and Taker from Bad Blood 97?
Bad Blood.
Yep. Bad Blood. With, of course, Kane's debut, which in my opinion is the greatest debut of all time. Some people wouldn't agree with me. Some people think it's Jericho, whatever.
Jericho.
I think it's Kane. It's just such a great moment. But regardless, I think they're two of the ones that people always bring up is those two. But yeah, I think that will always come to mind. Great point. Uso and New Day had a great, in recent Hell in a Cell memory, there is a difference to modern Hell in a Cells to what they used to be. That comes to mind. Becky and Sasha's Hell in a Cell. Becky and Sasha and Bailey's Hell in a Cell. Both great modern day Hell in a Cells because there is a big difference between...
Sasha and Charlotte Flair. That was
I love that Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
They've always, delivered in Hell in a Cell. But there is a difference between now Hell in a Cells and older Hell in a Cells. There's a different feeling. But that's just wrestling in general, isn't it? There's a different feeling to wrestling in the late 90s to wrestling today. It's not the same product. It's really not. But Hell in a Cell is... Do you still get excited to watch Hell in a Cell matches?
I mean, we're going back to literally what we said at the beginning of the show. Am I excited for the show right now? Not that excited. I think it's going to be a really good show. I would be certainly more excited if we only got Hell in a Cell once every 2 years, or even less than that. If it meant more, rather than.
I just wish it would just happen instead of being a pay-per-view. I wish it would be like, this is a feud that needs Hell in a Cell.
I hate you with all my being. I want to punch you. I want to punch your lights out. We're doing this in Hell in a Cell. That makes more sense rather than what time of the year is it? Oh, it's Hell in a Cell time. Let's fart in Hell in a Cell. Yay!
Hell in a Cell.
That's frustrating.
Woohoo! Steph brings up a good point. Fiend and Seth ending by ref stoppage has to be the worst. Is that the worst Hell in a Cell match ever? Purely because of that ending. I think it is too.
Not even because of that, because of the aesthetics with the bright red lights, the bright red cage. It just stank. Absolutely stank.
Speaking of stinky, Triple H and Nash, Bad Blood 2003. Also a bit of a stinker. Bit of a fucking stinker. Let's be completely honest there.
That was not good.
Oh, Kennel from Hell. Also horrible.
I won't hear a bad word about Kennel from Hell.
What? No, those dogs were the least intimidating dogs you could ever find ever. They were just like wanted to hump. Me too, friend. But oh my, it was funny. But if you look at it, if you analyze it it was horrible. Yeah,
it definitely didn't do what they hoped it would do, but it was hilarious watching it fail. If you want a really poor Hell in a Cell match, you can't probably get any worse than WrestleMania 15, where the Undertaker essentially killed Bossman by hanging him. And
yes, of course. How could we forget?
Yeah, that's when, for me, Hell in a Cell, it just didn't work. It didn't need. That's when you realize it didn't need.
I don't know if I've ever even watched that, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I know that it happened, but I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's not a good match and not a good ending. And thankfully it's only about 10 minutes long, so it won't take you that long to watch it, but it's not
good. Man, that just was like, I knew that happened, but I don't know if I've ever watched it. Maybe I have, but it's not something I think I'd go back and watch all the time. You know what I mean? So yeah, but Hell in a Cell is happening. Hope you enjoy the show, everybody. I'm sure it'll be good. There'll be good elements to it, and we'll move along. And the next time we'll be here together for a prediction is Money in the Bank. We're going to be excited. It's Money in the Bank. There's going to be fans. It should be a good time, and we're on the SummerSlam. You know what I mean? We're just going to SummerSlam, and I think that's going to be huge. And I don't mean to overestimate it, but I think it's going to be a big deal.
I think we're going to get to the point where it's 1A and 1B with WrestleMania. I think SummerSlam is that important to WWE,
especially at the moment. It's in a big stadium. We're in Vegas. It's just going to be a big damn deal. And I think Money in the Bank they're going to treat as a fairly big deal as well, in the terms of like, we got fans back. for a pay-per-view. Let's do this, and a couple ladder matches in there. And so the next time, 4 weeks away until Money in the Bank, I believe, 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll be talking about Money in the Bank. And we should be in for some cool stuff. So hopefully the next month of WWE programming, in the last programming in the Thunderdome era, will wrap up nicely. And hopefully the show is good, and I think it will be fun. So enjoy Hell in a Cell. Enjoy the Hell in a Cell matches, all the Hell in a Cell festivities. I'm sorry for all the rants today. I don't know what was so heated in me. I didn't really prepare rants, but you got one on Eva Marie. So
brilliant
is what it is, I guess. Let's go and we got some people here. Who's on? We can go and do a little raid ski or someone, you know? Take a little raid ski, little raids. Who's well, look at this. Love Wrestling are currently live. So, and they're talking AEW. My favorite. Let's go and raid Love Wrestling. Whoops, I put it in their chat. Whoopsie doopsies. That's stupid of me. I didn't put it in my chat because I'm a stupid idiot. I put it in their chat because I'm stupid. Let's go raid Love Wrestling. They're good people. They're good eggs, you know. Talking some AW. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, on that note, enjoy the raid. Go and give them my love. Enjoy Hell in a Cell. Peace out.
Bye-bye.
See you later.